You know what's fun about Ave Mujica? I'm used to, with a lot of shows, I try to not look at the title of the episode before we watch it, right? Because, especially with some shows that I'm watching, like One Piece, for example, like with One Piece, I don't even watch the title when it comes up on the screen. I always take off my headphones and I look away. Because sometimes, in certain shows, it can be spoilers. In other shows, they like to drop the title at certain times where it is most impactful. So My Hero Academia does that a lot, for example. And yeah, with One Piece, it will outright spoil the episode. It'll tell you exactly what's happening in that episode, so I don't look. With this show, I don't have to avoid it because I don't ever know what it's saying. It always has these like Latin phrases, which I think they're Latin, which I don't understand. Today's episode is called Facta Fugis Facienda Petis. I don't know what that means. So there's like absolutely no way that I can get spoiled from looking at those. It's quite convenient. So yeah, anyway. We're doing Ave Mujica. We're in episode 5. Last week, we sort of learned more about Mutsumi's DID and like her alternate personality, which is Mortis. And it seemed like at the end, there was either a scene of the band breaking up or a scene that was in Mortis / Mutsumi's mind of the band breaking up and her freaking out. But I think it was really the band breaking up. And they like announced it publicly at a concert, which is pretty huge. So we're in dire straits. That's a huge thing to do, to like announce it publicly like that. It's harder to take that back, you know? If they had just said like, this is over and stormed out of the hotel room, then the next day they could be like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. But when you go out on stage and you say to everyone, this is our last thing, then that's dangerous. Although, luckily for them, they also do a lot of performances, and some of the stuff that they do is like part of the show. So they could easily just say, like, if they wanted to turn back on this, they go like, actually, we're not breaking up. That was all part of the show. It was all a deception to get you emotionally invested and such. And they could do that. I'm sure some people would be pissed at it if they did that. They would be like, you manipulated our emotions. Like, you made us all come to what we thought was going to be your final concert or whatever. And then you're like, but also we're going to be doing more. So I mean, we'll see. But anyway, let's jump into some Ave Mujica episode 5. Make sure to support the video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you like these videos, if you like these Bang Dream reactions, and you appreciate that I'm doing them, you can support me by going to my Patreon account in the description below. You get the full-length reaction by doing that. You just sync it up with your own footage. You can watch the whole episode with me. And there's over 1,000 videos on there. And you support me, and you know, give me some appreciation for doing these videos. I would really appreciate that. But if you can't do that, just like the video, comment down below, subscribe to the channel, watch the video in its entirety. All of that stuff is free things that you can do that still help me out a lot. So make sure to do that. But otherwise, let's jump into Ave Mujica episode 5. Are people crying as they leave? Aww. Yeah, the Mutsumi scream. Damn, so yeah, they didn't even play? They just went out and said, we're done? Oh. Okay, she's being very professional right now. Oh, Saki. Saki, this is Saki. Damn it. Mutsumi's having a breakdown and I'm making puns. They're gonna be more famous than ever for how they disbanded. She's still trying to support her. Go into the comments, of course. I love her. Aww. Man, this is rough. Oh, she left. Shit. I mean, that also could be like a suicide note, to be honest. I hope to God it's not. But I think that's just her just distancing herself. Oh, whoa. I mean, she's doing well. Man, Saki just being alone. So sad. Oh God, we're back in this. Streaming makeup and drumming. That's a fun little niche she's in. Man, for after all of that, she just has to go back into her dad's house and go back to this same old life that tore her down before. And I mean, a lot of the others, all of the others are thriving, right? Yeah, I mean, they basically are. Okay, maybe Mutsumi's not thriving. Oh. Is that the first time they've talked in a while? Just a quick Ohio as you go past. I mean, they said it so casually, I imagine they see each other quite a bit passing in the halls. It's horrible, because Saki's spiraling, but she also is pulling herself away from any support she could have. Like, Uika was there to support her, and she pulled herself away. Which is going to make her spiral worse. And by spiraling, I mean she's just in depression. Yeah, she doesn't seem like the type to contact others. Uika's reminding me... I don't think I can get this thought out in time. I know this is like isn't their show, and it's very unlikely, but we need Kasumi from Poppin' Party right now. Oh. Okay. Damn, man. Like, is it right to abandon your father? Oh, it's too complicated. But, like, also, what can she do for him? He doesn't listen to her. She already made the decision to leave him once. Probably easier the second time when you're like, well, when I'm here and when I'm not here, he does the same shit. So me being here is not going to help. But, jeez, that's sad, man. It's genuinely kind of crazy to me, like, men being involved in the plot. Like, in Bang Dream, that very rarely ever happens. People have been calling her rich girl, so now she's going back to the rich roots. That's pretty fucking sick. 2 pool tables and a piano in a room. Oh, that's incredible. Yeah, I know. Why is there an empty space there? Do they have assigned seating? It's a school play. I know what it's metaphorically supposed to represent. But at school, you just sit down wherever. There shouldn't be an empty spot. Maybe their friends were like leaving it in case she came. Cool. Really? The Mutsumi thing's really got you? Don't want to go through that stuff again? Yeah, that's a big thing to turn down. I wish I could just be called and told you should be in this play. That'd be amazing. Actually, I have been in the past, but not in big plays, you know, just friends of mine. The show's so much brighter when Anon and Tomori on screen. Man, I love when MyGo are on screen. Makes me want a second season of It's My Go. Aww. Aww, that's a cute response. That's so cute. I'm already happy. You gonna write a song about it? Oh my god, if they were inspired by MyGo to get back together, my heart would melt. Oh. The way she's calmly explaining it to Tomori is so cute. If we get that Saki back by the end of the series, that would be incredible. Oh. Look how cute she is. Is she the one putting these post-it notes in Saki's shoe locker? Right, yeah, she is. And Saki's just ignoring them. Oh. Oh. Stop it. Oh my god. Oh. Yeah, and Anon's like, well, now you fucked with... you fucked with Tomori's emotions. Now Anon steps in. She's getting in! I love Anon! Oh, I love this. I love this so much. Isn't this what she did with Sayo? Not Sayo. Soyo. Is that her name? My brain right now. Two pool tables. Is this bringing back memories? Yep. Yes, it is. Oh. Holy shit! Fucking hell! Oh, there's still more? Oh my gosh. Okay, so Soya is going to see Mutsumi. No, knock on the door, girl. Come on. I don't think Mutsumi's going great right now. Oh. Man, she's not even like looking over. Now she's going to. Jeez, man. Jeez, man. Okay, I think that was my favorite episode of the season so far. That was a fantastic episode of anime. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I really, really loved that. Yeah, like I wasn't sure like what, you know, where this story was gonna go. And now it's this, you know what I think I liked the most about this episode? This episode actually felt more like an episode of It's My Go than Ave Mujica. And I think it's because it was like Ave Mujica so far has been so dark and complex, with the themes being what, like the individual problems, the individual themes being like the major driving force behind the issues in the episode. But in this episode, it felt like It's My Go, where the major problems felt like the relationships between them and how they would like not know how to communicate with each other. Like obviously that was still present within the previous episodes of Ave Mujica. I'm not saying that wasn't a major part of it, but it felt like that was the main focus of this episode. Whereas like the rest of the episodes, to me, the main focus has seemed to be like, you know, trauma and DID and all of this other stuff. And again, that was also very present in this episode. We have the trauma and the depression of Saki, and the, you know, the trauma that Tomori's gone through in her past, and the DID stuff at the end as well. But I am just very, like, I'm very impressed, but also, like, I think a big part of why this feels like It's My Go episode is because MyGo was in it a lot, which I really love. I would be very happy if they are, because I know this is Ave Mujica's show, but I would be very happy if MyGo have a big part in helping Ave Mujica flourish eventually, because I think that would be, like, because Ave Mujica only exists because of what happened with Crychick, and so because of MyGo, you know, inadvertently, because of MyGo, Ave Mujica exists. So it would make sense if, and also because of Crychick and Saki, MyGo exists. So if you think about it, you know, they're feeding into each other already. I would love if they make, you know, these storylines intertwine even more. And also, I mean, the MyGo characters are just so incredible. They're just such great characters, and they've gotten us so attached to them that it is really nice having an episode like this where they come back into the story and have a major part of it. But I'll talk about that in a second. Let's just go through these things as we can. I also want to say, just, you know, as I, you know, I'll read comments, and I'll try to take in things that people are saying to me, because you guys are very attentive with this show, and you definitely know very much what you're talking about. But I do want to make clear, sometimes I'll be talking about, like, I've in this series defended Nyamu a lot, for example, and I've done that mostly because I kind of anticipate that Nyamu is going to be like a very frustrating character for a lot of people to watch. And in this episode, Nyamu didn't really do anything wrong. So I don't think that's going to be the case in this episode. But a lot of people have been, you know, I anticipated people being frustrated with her. So I wanted to get my thoughts out, especially regarding her and what I thought she was doing right. However, I do want to say, a lot of the time when I'm doing those character discussions and dissections and stuff, I'm not really taking that character's side necessarily. I'm just, I'm trying to provide a perspective that only I can give. A perspective that, like, is coming from a place of my experiences. And so sometimes, because of that, I'm sort of giving justifications for the side that is still doing a lot of wrong. So I just want to make that clear, because I think some people in previous episodes thought that I was acting like Nyamu was doing no wrong, and that like Saki and the others were the only ones doing anything wrong, and Nyamu was always right about everything. I think Nyamu is very, very at fault, and I think she's an extremely flawed and broken individual. But I also think she has a lot of good points, and she's quite a smart woman that we need to give her credit for her intelligence as well. So anyway, I just wanted to say that off the bat, because I know some people who watch these discussions. You're about to hear me yap a lot more about stuff. I don't know what I'm going to be talking about exactly. I have notes here for things I want to talk about, but I don't know exactly what's going to come out of my mouth until I say it. So I just want to, like, preface it by saying that. So if I sort of get down a rabbit hole, I may not fully be able to articulate all the thoughts that I want to articulate, and it may come off as I'm being defensive of bad behavior at any point. And I apologize for that. That's not my intention. I'm just trying to give you a nice character dissection as best I can. And as best as I can do with a single watch of the show while also making a video. So, like, everything that I'm doing here, I never paused these episodes. I haven't watched any of the scenes again. I haven't read anyone else's opinions on these episodes or anything. I'm just doing it fresh from my brain after what I just saw. So This episode, so good. So Saki left. Now, I did say in the episode, like when I say Saki left, I meant Uika's residence, right? And in this episode, I did say that the note reminded me of something that someone would write before they're about to end their own life, right? And like, obviously, that didn't end up being what she was doing, but like, I do think that might have been what they were not implying that she was going to do, but they were sort of giving you that sort of pit in your stomach feeling that you get when you read one of those notes. Because I don't think it was that she's giving up on her life, because I don't think she was, but it did feel like the note was her giving up on herself, which is the exact same thing that a note like that, I'm trying not to say the words just in case, but a note like that generally is someone giving up on themselves, right? But obviously it's the extremity of what you do once you give up on yourself, and in this show I don't think they're going to touch on that particular theme, because it's this show's already extremely dark. I think that would be taking a step so far into that dark territory that we don't even need to go into, but just like alluding to that feeling is enough for me to feel the darkness. That's what I felt from that note, was she's giving up on herself in the same way that someone with those sorts of ideations would also give up on themselves, and it's extremely sad to see. She also goes back into like a familiar pattern of like being with her dad and like having to pick him up from the police station again and do all of that and hear him say the exact same shit that he's been peddling the entire time, right? But it's so difficult, and we talked about this back in episode 1, I think. It's so difficult with a parent like that because he is not listening to her. He's never going to listen to her. Or maybe not never, but almost certainly never. And he also just has so much shit going on in his own mind that it's like he isn't thinking properly about what she's saying, and he's also thinking of himself as like a lost cause, so he's given up on himself as well, which is the same as what Saki's kind of doing now, giving up on herself. So she's sort of becoming more and more like her father every day, which is really sad because he's going into a very dark place. And it feels like it also relates a lot to, this video is not even out yet. Tomorrow on this channel, I'm doing, I already recorded it, a reaction to the movie Look Back, which is a beautiful anime movie by the mangaka who was behind Chainsaw Man. It was an awesome movie. I recommend you go check it out, especially if you like this. I mean, Look Back had a lot of great character work and character animations, which is what this show shines at as well. So if you like this show, I feel like you'd like Look Back. But it was a great movie. One of the things I talk about in the discussion of that, so I'm giving you a little sneak peek of tomorrow's video, and I think tomorrow's video is quite good. But one of the things I talk about in that is that sometimes there are people who are so like in their own weird way self-centered that they also like blame themselves for everything, even when it's not their fault, you know? And so, like, they're self-centered enough that they think that they deserve everything when things are going great, and that they, like, give themselves credit for everything that's not theirs to give them credit for. But at the same time, they also will, if there's a problem, they will go, well, it's my fault that problem happened. And if they, you know, trip and fall, they're gonna blame themselves for the trip and fall. If they stay on the ground, they're gonna be like, well, this is who I am, and so if other people try to give them advice, if other people try to come into their life, they push them away because they think like it's only me, only I can do anything about that, and then they constantly go further and further down. So her father isn't accepting help. He's not going to accept anything. And I mean, it's also, I think it's difficult when you're his daughter, and there's a power thing there where it's like, I feel like sometimes people struggle to take help from their children because societally we kind of expect the parents to be the ones helping the children, not the other way around, even though we should be accepting help from everyone. You know, you should be accepting help from your kids. Your kids should be accepting help from you. Obviously help your kids. Obviously support them as much as you possibly can. But also, if you're struggling and they can help, let them help. Let them in. Listen to them. And especially once they start to get to an age where they're like intelligent enough to have like some sort of maturity. I mean, Saki is a very mature girl. I mean, mostly there's still some immaturity there. I think, especially in her way of handling her negative emotions, there's definitely some immaturity there, but she has maturity in her like responsibilities, and she has more responsibilities than most adults have, and she's still in high school. So like if she's, you know, at that age where she's actually properly, you're able to talk to her like an adult, essentially, then talk to her like an adult and let her help you work through it. But he's not going to do that. So when you have this situation now where they're like, look, he's a lost cause, you come live at our rich mansion or whatever, and just leave him behind. Like, again, this is what we talked about in episode 1, but I don't know what you do there. I think she's, like, it's sad seeing her go to like a, you know, this rich mansion place. And I mean, they did a good job at making that place look like really expensive and like a beautiful house, but because of the tone of the scene, all you got from it was like devoid of any sort of liveliness, any sort of like love. It was sort of like a void in there. But I can't blame her for going there. And I also think, you know, maybe it's a right choice, because it seems like, as I said, being in her house with her father, all it's doing is like keeping her in this negative cycle, and he's not changing at all. Whether she's there or not, nothing's changing. So like her removing herself from that toxic environment is probably the best. I mean, it's like if you're in an abusive relationship, like sometimes you're with an abusive partner, a lot of the time you can't fix that cycle of abuse sometimes. Most of the time, I would say. I'm not going to say it's impossible, because I don't know everyone's situation, but a lot of the time that cycle of abuse is just going to keep going, and the best thing you can do, like sometimes you just can't help the other person, and it's also not your job to. So you just, the best you can do is just go, well, at the very least, I cannot be in that situation anymore. I can leave. Then instead of 2 people suffering, it's a person suffering, which is really sad, because then you're kind of leaving that person alone. But if either way, nothing's changing, then that's your only option, really. So it's really sad with Saki, everything that she's doing. And it's interesting because this is something that other people pointed out to me, and I will admit I did miss the nuance of this. I make mistakes, of course I do. I'll admit I missed the nuance of this because I wasn't really thinking about it at the time. But people were talking about, you know, and this relates to, you know, me defending Nyamu. But people were saying, like, you know, Nyamu is treating her and literally calling her like the rich girl, you know, and treating her like she's so privileged and whatever, but we as an audience know that that's not true. Nyamu doesn't, and so it's like, it's not really Nyamu's fault. I mean, she probably shouldn't be saying that anyway, but it's not really Nyamu's fault, because she doesn't know what Saki's situation is, which inherently is the point, right? If you're like blaming people, if you're like treating people like shit because of what you perceive their home situation to be, you might be completely wrong about it, and so it's horrible. But, you know, she was being called like a rich girl and privileged and all of that. And actually, you know, she may have had richer upbringings, but she also now kind of just carries herself as if she's rich, but is indeed not. Is indeed like living in a shitty... Well, for a bit she was living with her friend, and for another bit she's living in a shitty house with beer cans all over the floor, doing all of the chores for a father who just does not give a shit, you know? So that's certainly no rich upbringing that I've ever seen. So yeah, that's why it's like kind of unfair, because she's being treated like sometimes it's, and I say this for coming from a place of privilege. I'm a very privileged individual. I have a family who's very well off and supports me very well, right? So I'm saying this from a place of privilege. I'm teased for being at a place of privilege by close friends of mine quite a bit, right? But it sort of offsets, right? Like, I'm very, very lucky, and then they tease me and bring me a bit down to earth, and it's like it's kind of fine. I mean, I'm fine with it, but it's fine that they like tease me, because it's like bringing me back down to earth. It's stopping my ego from getting too big. I'm not saying it's a great thing that they're doing, but it doesn't matter that much, in the grand scheme of things. But if she is down here, like, where she's living looks way worse than where Nyamu's living, like Nyamu seems like she's living in a pretty nice place on her own. It's not a mansion, but it's a pretty nice place. If Saki's here and Nyamu's here, but Nyamu's treating Saki like she's up here and she's trying to bring her down to earth, she's bringing her like further down, like she's punching down. In comedy, you say, when you're doing comedy, you things are only funny when you're punching up, not punching down, right? That's kind of the general rule of thumb. So it's like making fun of like making fun of billionaires and all of those people who are like so clearly higher above you in like societal status. It's like that, that makes sense, and you're bringing them down a peg. It's not gonna really do much to them. But if you're like a straight white man, cisgendered man going out there and making fun of trans people, that's punching down. That's definitely a no-no. It's not only not funny, it's lazy, stupid comedy. It's hacky, and it doesn't make sense. So yeah, that's kind of what's happening here. Is there's a lot of people sort of punching down on Saki, thinking they're punching up. Which is really difficult for her. So, now she's moving back to this sort of rich place. Now she is living a bit more like a rich girl. But I don't think it's going to help her at all. No, what did I want to talk about the most? I was the most excited to talk about the Tomori and Anon stuff. Because Tomori, Anon is like the best 1-2 punch in anime history. It's so good. And here's why. And let me pick up my pen, because I dropped my pen like 10 minutes ago. Tomori is a very emotional girl. Like, she has, well, I guess it's hard to say whether or not she's a very emotional girl, but she does kind of wear her emotions on her sleeve a little bit, right? And she struggles to communicate her emotions. I mean, she's like, on the spectrum, it seems like. She struggles to communicate with her emotions with people and stuff, which is why she often does it now through music, which is part of the beauty of It's MyGo Season 1. Anyway, she has like these emotions that she wants to get out, and she also tends to do kind of unorthodox things to try to help people. She will very often reach out for other people, but she'll do it in such a way that like the other person doesn't really get it, and Tomori doesn't really get why she's not fully connecting, because she doesn't understand, Like, Saki is so in her own head, and she's in this real huge state of depression, which, I mean, they're showing depression pretty fucking accurately right now, I would say. Like, where it's just like Saki barely said any words, if any words at all, in this episode. I don't know if she had a line in this episode. It's hard to tell. Because she just barely speaks, and like that's, if you know people who've gone through depression and stuff, I've seen a lot of people be exactly like this. They will be quiet, they don't want to speak to people, they keep themselves away from people, they just get shit done. Like, it showed her working and stuff. She's just quietly working on her computer, but like not reacting to anything. It's just completely dull. If you've seen the first Inside Out movie, the like incredible thing about like depression, the way that it was portrayed in that movie is depression wasn't the character of sadness controlling Riley's brain, which Inside Out is about feelings inside of a girl's head, and there's like happiness and sadness and disgust and, you know, but depression wasn't sadness doing something. Depression was when none of the feelings could control Riley at all. Like, none of them could touch the panel. The panel didn't work anymore. The depression was like a numbness of emotions. It was like you didn't feel fucking anything, and that felt suffocating. And it was actually sadness that, like, sadness is able to sort of break through that. If you can help yourself to feel sadness again, it can help you work through those emotions a bit more. So, like, we're not seeing Saki be that sad. We're seeing some frustration. We're seeing like little bits of frustration, little bits of sadness, but it's mostly emptiness. Anyway, Tomori is the sort of person who will reach out in unorthodox ways. She leaves those little notes on her shoe locker, and Saki reads those notes, gets frustrated because she is not accepting help like her father. She's becoming more and more like her father. So she's not accepting help from other people. And so the more people try to reach out to her, the more she gets frustrated because she's like, take the fucking hint. I don't want your help. And Tomori obviously was never going to stop putting the things on her locker until she straight up said, stop it, right? That because Tomori's the type of person to, if it doesn't work, she's like, I don't know why that didn't work. Let's try it again. I don't know why that didn't work. Let's try it again. Like, that's the kind of person she is. She has been since season 1. If she doesn't understand something, she just like keeps at it until she gets it. Or until someone straight up tells her, takes her by the shoulders and shakes her. And the sad thing is, like, she's so innocent and sweet, but she's doing this stuff to people who, like, she does it over and over, and they give her hints that they don't want it. And then she keeps doing it over and over and over until they're so frustrated that they just want to scream at her. And then for her, it feels like it's coming out of nowhere because she doesn't understand that, like, why are you acting like this all of a sudden? Like, I've been doing this very nice thing, and then now you're like, fucking leave me alone, you know? But for her, she's like, I've just been leaving notes and you haven't been saying anything, so I kept leaving notes. So Tomori has all this stuff she wants to say and has all the stuff she wants to do, right? Anon, and this is where I really love it, right? Anon, if she sees a problem that is going to be impacting things to do with her, she's gonna, like, just try to fucking get it done, you know? Move it to the side, we need to move on. But also, Anon, if a problem doesn't affect her, I think she takes a step back. So, for all of this situation, problem is not affecting her. We know Anon is like a selfish girl, and that's what I love about her, genuinely. Like, there's a lot of selfishness in this series. Anon was introduced to us in season 1 of It's MyGo, in episode 1. She was introduced to us as being very self-centered. Like, she wanted to be in a band, but she also wanted to be like one of the main people in the band, like the front one who's singing and that everyone talks about. And so she was trying to like manipulate things in such a way that she would be the center of attention. It's the kind of person she is, and I love that about her, honestly. But she would take a step back if it doesn't have anything to do with her. However, she loves Tomori. After all of this, she loves Tomori, cares about her a lot, doesn't want to see her continue to get hurt by stuff. So the second that Tomori, like, it is really agitated by this situation and starts to run after the car, Anon's like, fuck it, I'm in, let's solve this situation right now. And she goes over there and she goes to the car, gets in the car and sits across from her. I love that. I love that it's such a brave thing to do, you know? So many characters and humans, like just people, would go up to her and go like, hey, can we talk? And Saki would go, no, and shut the door, right? Anon doesn't give her that chance. Anon just goes up to her and goes like, oh, I'm her friend, and then goes in and walks in and sits down and is like, wow, this is a nice car. It's like, Anon puts herself in that situation, doesn't give people the chance to say anything about it. And it reminds me of, I believe it was with Soyo, she did the same thing, right? With Soyo in season 1, when they were having all of their biggest issues, didn't Anon just like literally follow Soyo all the way home and then like walk into her apartment and then like chat with her in her apartment where she couldn't get away anymore? Anon doesn't like doesn't let other people tell her that she can't have a conversation. She will have that conversation no matter what. So that is what I absolutely love about her, and I think it's so great. It's such a great character thing. I love that they kept that consistent in this season, and I love that I think it's going to start to help break through whatever this is. But also, I wonder where the heck this is going, because it ended with Tomori saying to Saki, let's be in a band. Now, I cannot imagine the next episode starts and Saki goes, okay, fine, let's be in a band. I can't imagine that happening. Like, for many reasons. And now, we also have the sort of meta knowledge of, like, Ave Mujica. This is a multimedia franchise. They're going to want Ave Mujica to still be a band, because that's what they're advertising here, in a way. So they want them to be a real band in real life, and they also want Ave Mujica to continue to be in the video game, in the girls band party game and stuff. So there's no way Ave Mujica is staying disbanded. And also, it's episode 5. If Ave Mujica disbanded in episode 5 and then we watched like 7 more episodes of them just not being a band, it probably wouldn't be super interesting. So we know they're going to get back together. But like in between, in these little episodes, I don't know what's going to happen. Because she says, let's be in a band. And Tomori, sometimes she, like, the way she cuts to the heart of the matter is actually quite effective at helping you get your emotions out, you know? Remember in episode 10 of It's My Go, where she goes into the audience and she just grabs Soyo's hand, and Soyo's like, no, fuck it, I'm not doing any of this. And Soyo Tomori just pulls her. Like, he's literally just going like, nope, you're coming on stage with me. And she's doing that because she's like, this is how we solve it, and you can keep pulling away over and over and over again, but this is the way to do it. And like, she just knows in her heart that's gonna work, or at least that's going to help them figure out what the problem is. So with Saki, maybe them being in a band, you know, maybe that'll help. Maybe you can get Saki to like play with MyGo for a bit, and that will maybe help you figure things out. I don't know. I'm kind of in my head doing some other calculations. Is there a keyboardist in MyGo? We've got Rana on guitar. We got Girl on drums. Soyo's on bass, I believe, right? Tomori's singing, and then doesn't Anon also play guitar? Don't we have like 2 guitars, a bass, and a drum? We don't have a keyboardist, right? Because if that's the case, you could bring her onto MyGo and have her like add some extra stuff to MyGo, and it will be better. I'm just actually gonna look up MyGo as a band and just make sure that they don't have a keyboardist, and I'm not forgetting that one of them plays keyboard. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Hello. Okay, hold on. Yeah, no, they don't have a keyboardist because it's Tomori is the vocalist, Anon is the rhythm guitarist, Rana is the lead guitarist, Soyo is the bassist, and Taki is the drummer. So yeah, that makes sense. They don't have a keyboard. It would be interesting if they had Saki come in and do some keyboard stuff for them. Just, I don't know, to feel what it's like being in a band, and also being in a band, it's hard to say that cares about each other because like MyGo are a bit of a mess, but that's part of MyGo's appeal, right? They're the Lost Girls. They are kind of like mismatched puzzle pieces, but over time they've kind of blended together, and there is a weird sort of cohesion to them. Maybe she can come in and see like what a band that is like that is mismatched but still functional looks like and should feel like, and a support group that is mismatched but functional looks and feels like. Maybe that's something that can help. I don't know. I really don't, because this show is really good and they're really good at creating these problems and having me not know how you could solve them, but coming up with solutions that feel like they really match the characters and yeah. But I loved this episode so much. I thought it was such a brilliant episode. And I loved the tone of it all. And I can't wait for more, genuinely. Here's what I hope. I hope next week we get more MyGo stuff, and I hope that we even get a performance from MyGo. That's what I think. That's what I would love. But yeah, anyway, that is my reaction to Ave Mujica episode, 5. Thank you for joining me. Make sure to support this video if you can, liking, commenting, and subscribing. And go to my Patreon account if you want the full-length reaction, early access, and exclusive videos. Yeah, nothing else to say, so I'll see you next time. Goodbye.